it is such a privilege at this point in my career to be joining the MCU. I had no real sense, it never entered my mind that this was still a possibility for me. And so when it happened, I kind of couldn't believe my good luck. And it's been a joy to be a part of it, to be a part of the MCU, about which I really knew very little, except that everything I did was wildly popular and really beloved by critics and audiences both, and incorporated and used some of the actors that I really admired. So I am so grateful and delighted to finally be part of the MCU. I was really intrigued by this character. I've played a lot of doctors. I've played therapists, and I mostly play very no nonsense, straightforward, very direct people, direct to a fault. So it felt very much in my wheelhouse. What I especially liked about this character as a therapist, though, was her background in the military. The fact that she was coming from a place of courage and strength, and she has the credibility of someone who has already experienced some of the sorts of things, obviously not exactly what Bucky's gone through, but some of the same losses and the same really horrific situations, and so she has a sense of what that is, and he can't say, well, you just don't know, because she does. So, in terms of being the type of person she is, forthcoming, bossy, I sort of live there. I do a fair amount of that, but having the nuance and having the sense of humor that she has, which it runs through all of the Marvel Universe shows, was really a treat for me. My character, Dr. Raynor, is assigned to work with Bucky Barnes because he wants to be reintegrated into the world now that he's no longer a killing machine, the Winter Soldier that Hydra made him into. But the fact is that history is still there. He actually did commit these murders. So he needs to, and it bothers him. It deeply troubles him having done it. So she is assigned to him and the therapy is assigned as a condition of his release back into society. Because as a society, we need to feel comfortable that he's not going to go back out and start assassinating people again. So that's a pretty challenging thing to do. I think Dr. Raynor is chosen as his therapist in large part because of her own experience in the military, that she actually even served with John Walker. So she understands PTSD. She understands the trauma of having to kill people, and how that reverberates for a person. And she's really strong and very direct. And as he tells her, she's a terrible therapist, and she says, well, maybe, but I was a great soldier. And she's, it's like, whatever. Yeah, but I know what I'm talking about. Probably the most fun that we had, and I think that's clear to the audience, was in episode 2 when I instruct the boys to sit and face each other and look each other in the eye and sit closer to each other. And while that was written in the script, the fact is, when you've got you've got Anthony and you've got Sebastian, these guys who have been working together all this time as actors, and you put them together and you ask them to do physical comedy and be that close together, you just you sit back when you're a brilliant director, and you just let it happen. And for me, I was in the perfect position as Dr. Raynor because I literally was the audience to it. And then I just had to figure out at what point, as Amy, I had to figure out at what point do I stop this as Dr. Raynor. because we were all having way too much fun watching it. The universe, so to speak, of entertainment has changed so just obviously dramatically just over the course of my career. Started 30, 35 years ago. And I remember people saying there's nothing good on television. And now it's like, no, you don't understand. The filmmakers, the writers, the directors, the actors, the craftspeople, the designers that worked in film now want to work in television, we'll call it television, streaming, whatever, because rather than being forced to tell a story in 2 hours, which is what a movie is that you see in a movie theater, they have 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours to tell that story. Who would not want to have that kind of freedom? You can go so much deeper. Wait, so when you step back and think about it, it's a very arbitrary thing. The reason we came up with you have 2 hours to tell this story is because you just can't expect a whole theater full of people to sit still for much more than 2 hours. Someone's going to have to go to the bathroom, etc., which is why we try to jam that storytelling all into 2 hours. Well, now you have exactly the same resources, but applying them to now a 6-hour movie, an 8-hour movie, a 10-hour movie. And, this is a 6-hour movie. And I would talk about when I was doing Bosch on that other streaming service, I said, we're doing a 10-hour movie. That's what it is. It's all the same standards. It's all the same people. We're just telling the story in 10 hours. Why would you not want to be able to have that extra time? And in this case, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to have 6 hours to tell that story instead of limiting yourself to 2. It's brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.